All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a method of family planning that's all about working with the body's natural rhythms instead of using other methods. So let's get right into it. This is a question a lot of people ask. And the answer, really, it all comes down to understanding the body's natural fertility cycles. So how in the world does this method actually work? So this whole idea is about tracking your body's natural rhythm. And it's super important that both partners are really on the same page here. You both have to understand the process for it to work. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, the science behind this. The key, and I mean the key, to this entire method hinges on one single biological event: ovulation. Everything, and I mean everything, revolves around this one moment.
So here's the bottom line. Pregnancy can only happen during a tiny, super specific window of time. The whole goal of this method, it's just to figure out exactly when that window is.
So, if you're looking at a textbook, typical menstrual cycle, ovulation usually pops up around day 14, right after a period starts. That number, 14, that's our anchor point. It's the landmark we use to map everything else out.
Okay, so that's the science part. But how do you actually take that fact and turn it into a calendar that you can actually use, right? This is where the theory becomes a real-world tool.
Look, to make this super simple, let's just walk through an example. Let's say, for argument's sake, a period starts on January 1st. What happens next? How do you map out the month?
And boom, here's the breakdown. You've got 3 distinct phases. First, days 1 to 7, that's the period itself. Then, and this is the big one, you hit the fertile window, the high-risk zone, from about day 8 to 17. After that, from day 18 on, things cool down. The risk of pregnancy drops way off because the egg just isn't viable anymore.
So if you want the simplest way to think about it, it's this. Those 10 days right after your period, that's the riskiest time, hands down. That is your peak fertile window, where the chances are the absolute highest. But wait a second. You might be thinking, hold on. If ovulation is just a one-day thing, why is the risk zone a whole 10 days long? Great question. And the answer is a wild biological fact that just changes the entire equation. And this right here, this is the detail that so many people miss. Sperm can actually survive inside the female body for up to 5 days. They can just hang out, waiting for an egg to be released. Think about that. That 5-day survival window completely changes the simple calculation. It creates this whole buffer zone of risk before ovulation even happens. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Let's say you have intercourse on day 9. The sperm are there. Then, 5 days later, on day 14, ovulation happens. What's the result? A high chance of pregnancy. The sperm were just waiting for the main event to start. Okay, we've talked about how it works, but now we have to talk about the warnings, and this is probably the most important part. Before anyone even thinks about trying this, you absolutely have to understand the risks and the limitations. So let's be crystal clear here. The calendar method is not foolproof. Not even close. For women with irregular periods, well, it's basically a guessing game, making it almost impossible to predict ovulation accurately. And this is a big one, it does absolutely nothing to protect you against STIs. Zero protection. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, these natural methods are out there, but they are not a casual, set it and forget it kind of thing. They demand serious diligence, precise, consistent tracking, and a really honest understanding of their limitations. And really, that leaves us with one final and pretty crucial question. This whole method is built on averages, on what's typical. So when you're making a decision this important, a decision about planning your family, how comfortable are you with playing the odds?